Last season, it was the 7th best away record in the Premier League. 7 wins. One of them came down at Bournemouth as well. I just wonder what that kind of record, what confidence that gives you going into your first away game of the season as well.
Well, we hope that we can follow up and do as well as we did last year away from home. The biggest pleasing part was, we always travelled with a great away support, big away support, and they got some really good days last year. So I hope we can continue it. I mentioned last week in the press conference about, can we improve our form at the Hill Dickinson and try and do better at home, which hopefully would get us a few more points as well. But obviously our away form last year was very good.
If you can improve on that away form even further from last season.
Yeah, well, look, it's a big ask in this league to win games away from home in this league. It's really difficult, and but we start, and hopefully we can continue as well as we did last year.
What do you expect from Bournemouth then, under new management, obviously?
Well, I know Marcus slightly because I went to watch Red Bull Salzburg when he was a manager there for a little while, so had a trip over and met him before. I think he's a really good career. He's got a lot of the Red Bull sort of DNA in his work, and I think that Bournemouth overall have been a side in recent seasons who've done amazing with what they've done, whether it be the recruitment, whether it be the way the team's played, the managers they've chosen have done good. So I think Marcus will give them a good go. They performed well last week against Manchester City. We were unlucky not to take something from the game. So another new manager in the Premier League, but Marcus has got quite a bit of experience.
With regard to your own recruitment, what hopes do you have now of Jack Grealish coming back? He obviously got the winner down there last season as well, but given it appears that this would be his preferred move as well.
Well, we've not made any final decisions on that, but we are in the recruitment business at the moment, and we are looking to see if we can bring some players in if possible. But there's no guarantee, and to name just one person would be wrong.
Jack, though, potentially coming back, is being linked with Iliman Ndiaye possibly going the other way. I just wonder, from your perspective, is there any kind of accuracy to that, or is it something that you'd even entertain, particularly at this late stage of the window?
Well, again, I wouldn't talk about individual players at other clubs. Jack's not at our club. He was brilliant for us, great boy, but it's wrong for me to talk about him. He's at another club. And we're certainly not in a hurry to sell our best players, that's for sure.
With regard to Illy, can you kind of put into context just how important it is, and almost how important it is to keep hold of him?
Well, I've just said, I don't think we need to do anything. We've got nothing to be concerned about. As far as I know, we've had no contact from any club. Somebody told me we had contact from, I think it was Al Hilal during the summer. We heard nothing from them. So there's a lot of stuff that floats around is not always true. Maybe this is true, but certainly the stuff previous wasn't.
How hopeful are you of getting at least some of your targets in before that deadline?
I'm not sure yet, but we'll do our very best to try and get something here if we can.
David, obviously Everton's not the only club that has not been able to get their targets in when they would like earlier in the window, for instance. What have you found has been the problem during this window from your experience?
Probably not much different from any other window. I think it's much the same. I think the World Cup probably has played a part in things maybe being a bit later. I think the prices being so large at the start probably has got a certain group of clubs unable to compete at that level. And I think that's probably changed the market, Everybody's interested. Sky talk a lot about the big signings, but there's still quite a few smaller ones behind it at some clubs as well.
But from the players that you've got, how positive are the signs that you're seeing on the pitch, albeit very early days?
Look, it's very early days, and look, we're really pleased with the opening 2 games. So we need to try and continue to build that momentum and get us in a position where we think that we're strong and we can do that. As I said before the other night, we still need to get stronger than what we are at the moment.
What do you see as the most positive aspect, though, of how things have come together?
I think we've played well in the games. I think, and also, we've been trying to create more chances. I think that's probably been certainly evident in the games against both Crystal Palace and against Preston. So that's a positive for us that we're getting them. We've took some of the chances the other night. We had some bigger ones against Crystal Palace we could have taken. So I think that's positive that we're getting a few more attacking opportunities to score.
Look,
thank you.
Thanks, Vinny. We'll go to Fraser at Premier League Studios.
Just leading on from that, morning, David. You talked about Thierno Barry the other night and the positives of him picking up the goals, but obviously there are chances there that you'd like him to maybe see scoring more. It's often said by managers that strikers tend to thrive on confidence. Is that an area that you're looking at specifically with him, or some way of trying to nurture that?
I think he's looked at himself, so to give the boy a lot of credit, I think he's tried to improve himself, and those things are things that you need to sort of sometimes do yourself. Of course we'll give him confidence, we do in every game, but ultimately you have to sort of get it yourself, and what it does by, for a striker, certainly scoring goals and getting in the right position and playing well if you can. I think all players are the same. They want to make sure they have a good pass, good first touch, good challenge. So centre forwards, I think, judge a lot of their confidence maybe by the goals they score.
And mentioning the support that you've had away from home, obviously Bournemouth is a long way to go from here for anybody. Does that make you appreciate it all the more when you see regular faces down there at a stadium like that, knowing that the fans have travelled so far and put so much effort into getting there?
Well, I've been in the game long enough. I'm a football supporter myself, and I think that people who follow their club for years and all over the country, it takes a lot to do, a lot of effort, costly as well nowadays with train fares, etc., all changing. So it's difficult for supporters. So we don't take it for granted. And I think that our away support over certainly last season since I've been back was fantastic.
Thanks, Fraser. We'll go to Julia at Radio Merseyside.
Hey, David.
Hi, Julia.
When you say you're not sure if the targets will come in, do you feel supported right now at the club with those transfer targets, and how is it working?
Well, I think all managers are always looking for more. I'm trying to give Evertonians the best they possibly can and push for everything. So that's my job, to try and get them the best team, best players I can.
How does it operate then? Are you, I think the CEO had said there was other people looking for targets because you can't be across all the clubs around the world. Do you get the final say? Are they presented to you?
Yeah, mostly I do. We have lots of scouts who are out working, which are doing, and so they're the people who bring maybe people in which we wouldn't know so well, maybe from South America, etc. I've certainly got an idea of a lot of the players, whether it's throughout Europe and in the UK. So getting the right ones, bringing them to the table at the right price, players who we're interested in, it sort of gets through the recruitment team who break it down and bring it in. There's 2 or 3 players here we'll look at and we make decisions on them.
I know you don't want to speak about individual players. There are reports about Jake O'Brien, Michael Keane at the moment. It sounds like then that you don't want any outgoings if you can't get those ingoings. Is that the case? And can you keep hold of people if they're wanting starting places and you can't offer that right now?
Well, we could only answer that if somebody made an offer. So any stories you're hearing, we're not had if you're talking about offers for any of those players, we've not had no offers for any of those players.
I just wanted to ask about Merlin Röhl as well. Obviously, you played right back. If you can't get a right back, would he be happy to play there? And how do you manage that with players when they're playing out of position? Because do they want to play in their usual position?
Merlin does. Merlin's thrilled that he's getting the opportunity to start playing the games. He's desperate to play. He's desperate to show what he can do. And by the way, I think he's shown up really well in what he's done. I think that it's made a few people maybe question us talking about bringing in another right back. I think they've seen Merlin Röhl play really well. So he's done well, and he's not a player who's questioning being out of position. So we're really happy for him.
Do you like that from your players if they're willing to go, I'll step up and I'll have a go at that?
Well, I think when you've got a small squad like we have, we need players who are going to be flexible and play different positions and accept that they may have to do different jobs at different times. Great example was how Jimmy Garner played when he went right back, and actually I think maybe the first game of last season he might have had to play left back because we didn't have Miko. So we want players who are going to be not going to question it, want to do the job, and we've had to do that a couple of times. Harrison Armstrong had to play a bit wider last year in a couple of games for us at different times. So with the smaller squad what we've got, we have to try and make the players flexible, and thankfully we've got a few who are certainly doing that.
Can I just check on injuries? Have you got a time frame for Christian Nørgaard? Did Hayden Hackney have a slight Not
Hayden Hackney had rolled his ankle in midweek, last week, so that's why he didn't play in midweek. We'll see. It'll be touch and go for Hayden, I think. What's the other one? Christian is still he's not making great progress at the moment, so it's not something which we're probably going to get him back quickly. So we'll just need to see how that develops.
And James Garner fine as well after the other day.
Well, he's not fine because he's not played any games in pre-season. So we probably, if we hadn't had the injury to Hayden, we wouldn't have started him in the game, certainly against Preston. But he's made a remarkably quick recovery from his hernia, which is great. As a player, you don't see it very often. The players pushing to get back quicker and in time. Jimmy done that. I think he done great in the game. I still think he's off his levels at the moment, but it's the minutes he needs in the games and these sort of bits of the games which hopefully he'll soon pick up.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Julia. Any further questions in the open section before we move on?